to the Royal Daily Tea YouTube channel. Please be advised all of my videos are for entertainment purposes only, based 100% on my own opinion, my own theories, and my own research. All of my information can be found on the public domain and falls under the fair use guidelines. Please feel free to do your own research. Good afternoon and welcome back to the Royal Daily Tea. So today we're going to do a video about the Sussexes and their weird, strange pregnancies and how they're cashing in on their children. I know, a delightful subject. So we just announced, that she had her daughter, Lilibet Diana, was born on June 4th at 11:40 a.m. at the Santa Barbara Cottage Hospital. So a lot of controversy, with the naming her after the Queen, Lilibet Diana. They're now actually threatening legal action against the BBC, who is quoted as saying the palace, or a palace source, has informed them that in fact the Queen was not notified or asked permission for them to use her childhood name, Lilibet. Now, if you don't know, the Queen's personal nickname is Lilibet, which was given to her by her grandfather, King George V, when she, as a toddler, could not pronounce her own name, Elizabeth. And those closest to her, like her sister, her mother, her father, and her late husband, Prince Philip, referred to her as Lilibet. Now, Prince Harry, as her grandson, I guarantee you never referred to her as Lilibet. It was always ma'am or grandma. You know what I mean? So the fact that he would take her personal nickname is a little strange. I don't believe, honestly, in my opinion, he asked permission, nor did he tell her he was going to use the name. I believe he might have mentioned to her in the very stages of Meghan's pregnancy that, hey, we might name our daughter after you. She might have thought they were going to name her Elizabeth. Elizabeth Diana would have made more sense than Lilibet. Now, it is rumored that he did like the name Lily. There was an article and a video clip where he was asking a mother of a young daughter named Lily how they spelled it, and that's fine. But my opinion is, why not just call her Lily? Why Lilibet? The weirdness is, they've accused the royal family of all these horrific things, that the Queen was an absentee mother, that she was neglectful to Harry after the death of his mother, that they're racist, and that they borderline could have possibly helped to expire his mother for being with a non-white partner. But hey, let's name our daughter after you. That makes no sense. If I don't like someone, I'm sure as heck not naming my child after you. Now, we know he loves his grandmother, whether they're having this weird, strange relationship or not. We do know he does, supposedly, respect the Queen. But I guarantee you the Queen didn't know they were using Lilibet. Even the palace said she was not informed. Telling someone an hour before, oh, by the way, we named our daughter after you and now it's to the presses, is not really giving her a chance to say yes or no. I mean, you already bought the trademark LilibetDiana.com and Princess LilibetDiana.com. They already own the trademarks. The paper's already dry. They're announcing it to the press. I mean, when did you tell her you were going to use Lilibet? I really doubt she was happy about it. Honestly, informing and asking are two different things, and the palace said she was not asked. So if I'm going to believe Harry and Meghan over the palace, honestly, I kind of believe the palace, okay? All right, so we have that little drama with the naming of their daughter. She was born on Friday. They wait till Sunday to announce. Of course, they said the Queen was the first person to know of her birth. Well, Buckingham Palace on Sunday, June 4th, waited a full 2.5 hours before they congratulated the couple on the birth of their daughter. Well, if you're a social media manager, you would have had that queued up already. If you'd known for 2 days, hey, we need to have this scheduled out, this post, they're going to announce it at this time. They didn't seem to know. No one in the royal family knew. It took them 2 to 3 hours for everyone to kind of be like, oh, congratulations. That sounds to me like they just found the news out like everyone else. I don't know. Maybe they told the Queen, by the way, she's here. But knowing Harry and Meghan, who knows? They like to do their own thing. Okay, so I don't know if I believe them when they say they asked permission. I think they just informed Her Majesty. What was she going to say? No. Oh, you can't use it. I mean, they don't have the best relationship right now. The Queen probably isn't really taking their phone calls. I'm sure they probably called the pals and said, tell the Queen we had the baby. Because if you think about it, he let it leak on the Oprah interview back in March that he wasn't on speaking terms with his father. His own father wasn't taking his phone calls. So do you think Her Majesty, after she was slammed on the Dak Shepard podcast and the Me You Can't See, you think she's taking Harry's phone calls? I guarantee you her staff was like, no, 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 you can't get on any recorded line with this man. People don't trust these two. So him still having access to the Queen, even though he is the grandson, after those 3 interviews where he accused them of murdering his mother and of racism and neglect, I don't know if he actually was able to get through the Queen. That could have just been a fake press piece. Oh, yes, the royal family was notified. The Queen knows. Remember, like how he said the royal family, when Prince Philip passed away, oh, yes, Meghan spoke with the Queen privately. Meghan wrote her handwritten note and sent her flowers. Again, we really doubt the Queen even took the time to take her phone call. The woman was a little busy to listen to Meghan Markle. I really doubt she took her phone call, honestly, but maybe she did. But remember how they put those little press pieces out? Meghan congratulated the Cambridges on their anniversary. They always have to tell people every time they do something. So I don't know if I believe that, guys. Anyways, I think that's another PR cotton candy bullcrap story that they like to whip up to make it look like they're still in the royal fold. But he just told us in March his father wasn't even taking his phone calls. And they got a frosty reception in April for the funeral. I don't think he's in the fold. That's all I'm going to say. Okay, moving on. So they have this debacle now. A lot of people are debating, did he get permission, did he not get permission? And was it disrespectful for them to use her childhood nickname? I personally feel like it was. That really isn't meant for her grandson to name his daughter after his grandmother's pet nickname that he never called her. That's strange to me. I would have said Elizabeth I could have seen. Elizabeth Diana would have been a beautiful name, but Lilibet, whatever. And my other part of that is, why would they name their daughter with just Harry's side of the family? There's no nod to Doria or Meghan's part of the family. It's just to the rich, white, royal side of the family. From 2 people who definitely don't want to be part of the royal family, who want to be independent, they sure want to make sure that their daughter, who's 8th in line, is, attached to the Queen and attached to Princess Diana. Do you see what I'm saying? They even trademarked Princess Lilibet Diana because when her grandfather, Prince Charles, becomes king, Archie and Lily will both receive a prince and princess title. You best believe those 2 aren't giving that up. They're still monetizing the Duke and Duchess of Sussex. Moving on. So let's backtrack this 2 years to when Archie Harrison was born. This is what really started the whole conspiracy theory of, did she have a surrogate? Did she not have a surrogate? To be honest with you, I kind of am half and half. I'm not going to accuse her of using a surrogate. I'm going to let you make that own decision. I personally don't know. There's just too many inconsistencies for me to fall either way. She was 37. This was her supposed first pregnancy. I'm not saying at 37 you can't get pregnant really fast naturally. It happens all the time. Meghan was a very healthy looking woman. It could happen. Fine. But I do believe she used a moon bump to over-dramatize her baby bump. Because when it was first announced during October, which was Princess Eugenia's wedding, let's remember that, she upstaged Princess Eugenie at her wedding. Remember when she showed up with the open coat and people were like, oh, it's been 5 months since they were married. Is she pregnant? Is she not pregnant? was she made sure that people were talking, because we all know Megsy's got to be in charge. Megsy's got to be the queen. She wants all the attention. Even at someone else's wedding, she wants people talking about her. So it is rumored that she let the Queen and Prince Charles and a couple other royals know at the wedding that she was pregnant, and this pissed Fergie off beyond belief. And that following Monday, they did in fact announce that they were expecting. And Fergie did not congratulate them at all. She just talked about, wasn't my daughter a beautiful bride? Because she was pissed. You know, the wedding was on a Friday, and on Monday they announced they were pregnant. But at the wedding, they had told people they were pregnant. So immediately, you know, she's about 3 to 4 months pregnant. You can see this huge baby bump protruding from her stomach. When she went on the tour of Australia, she looked 6 months pregnant. She had a baby bump showing because Meghan knew the press was looking for the bump, and she didn't disappoint. She wanted to make sure that they got the money shot of her bump. So when she went on tour, she put on a moon bump, in my opinion. Whether she was pregnant or not pregnant, she wanted to emphasize she had a bump. Most women who are skinny and very fit, like Meghan, do not show until like the 6th month. Babies don't just pop at the 3rd and 4th month. You might look like you have a little belly or a little tummy that you ate a burrito, but I'm telling you, she had a full-on bump like almost immediately when she announced she was pregnant. Now you have to remember, this is in October. Archie didn't come until May. We're talking a full 7 months later. She's already looking like she's 6 months pregnant. So that's when people started noticing, you know, she was constantly in every photo pushing her belly out, moving her coat like, did you see the bump? Did you get the bump? Here's the bump. Do you remember I'm pregnant? Did you get the bump? Do you see the bump? I'm pregnant. And she was always holding her belly, kind of over dramatizing her belly like, oh, look at me, I'm Mother Teresa. I'm holding the earth in my stomach. Look at me. It was just weird. Like, I understand she was happy. I know people touched their stomach, but it was almost to the point of overly trying to convince us she was pregnant. Do you know what I mean? It's like, you're pregnant. We get it. You don't have to constantly remind us you're pregnant. If you're pregnant, people can kind of see. You don't need to constantly be like, look, did you get the bump? Let me make sure I pose. Let me move the shirt back. You're taking a photo. Hold on. Let's get the bump in there. As a matter of fact, let me stand here and hold it, so everyone knows I'm pregnant in the photo. It's like weird. And the time she was standing on stage at that award show, cradling her bump while someone was accepting an award, it was like, you don't need to stand there cradling your bump. It's not going to run away, or at least we don't think so, right? So that's when people started to be like, she's really weird. You know, she's constantly pushing the bump out. The bump's really big for this stage of her pregnancy. She's always cradling the bump. And then the bump started changing sizes, up, down. You know, I don't know. I'm not a bump expert, but I'll let some of the photos speak for themselves. So that was the strange part in itself. And then she was able to wear these huge inch heels and bend up and down, no problem. Again, she's very healthy. Maybe she's just agile. But then when the birth of Archie happened is really when the conspiracy theory was born. And I have to be honest with you, it is just plain confusing, okay? Supposedly, Archie was born on May 6, 2019 at 5:26 a.m. That same day, Buckingham Palace announced at 2 p.m., oh, by the way, the Duchess is in labor. So then they came back and said, oh, no. She didn't go into labor at 2. She actually had the baby 8 hours before at 5:26 a.m. I'm sorry, we got the wrong information. How do you get she just went into labor, but she had the baby 8 hours before? Weird. Okay. The other weird thing about Meghan's pregnancy was she refused the royal hospital where all of the royal babies are born, and she refused the royal doctors that were from Her Majesty who used for Kate and Edward's wife. Everyone used this staff of doctors. She got her own team of doctors and went to a different hospital. So people all thought that was strange. You chose a different hospital, different doctors, okay? whatever. So again, Meghan's not doing anything according to royal protocol. But why? Why did she do that? No one knows. So they give birth, or they announce that the birth happens, on May 6th. But then they wait 2 full days to come out with the famous photo of Archie and Meghan, and she walks out and they're at Windsor Castle and they're presenting Archie to the world. It was the fact that when they were interviewing Harry, he made the statement of, oh yes, people tell me that babies change so much during 2 weeks. Well, supposedly Archie was only 2 days old, but he accidentally slipped 2 weeks, and Meghan kind of gives him that, that look. Now, here's another theory that backs that Archie was in fact 2 weeks old and not 2 days old. Supposedly, Doria flew in to be there for the royal birth around April 21st, and around April 24th or 26th, that there was an ambulance outside of Frogmore Cottage around the 24th of April, and also Her Majesty the Queen made a secret visit to Frogmore Cottage around that time. Now, royal protocol states that for all royal babies, the Queen is to be the very first visitor of the child. So why would the Queen show up at Frogmore Cottage around the time that ambulances were seen around the 26th of Frogmore Cottage? The Queen had a secret visit, right? And they had ambulances there. So that would kind of fit into the timeline of Archie being 2 weeks old. If on the 26th the baby was born, and then on May 9th when they, present Archie to the world. So I'm again, they're allowed to have the baby whenever they want, but I really do believe that he was possibly born in late April. But why? Why would they wait 2 full weeks to announce the birth? Why the secrecy? Why were the police there? Why did the Queen visit Frogmore Cottage? Also, this was around Easter Sunday, and Meghan was not around. She was not at Easter Sunday. And her mother arrived, just a few days prior. So again, to me, there's just so much weirdness with the announcement of the birth, the fact that the Queen went to go visit secretly around that time, the fact that Harry made that slip up of Archie being 2 weeks old. Then there was the weird thing about the birth certificate. Now, of course, it originally had Rachel Meghan, Her Royal Highness, the Duchess of Sussex, was the mother, but she changed it to Her Royal Highness, the Duchess of Sussex. A lot of people were stating she was trying to do a sweet nod to Princess Diana because she's obsessed with Princess Diana. Then there was the weird thing with the doctor supposedly, or witness supposedly, did not sign the birth certificate. I don't know if that is true. Again, these are just theories. But there's just so many weird inconsistencies with these two and the birth of their children that it makes people wonder, were they in fact using a surrogate? That kind of would make sense, that maybe the surrogate gave birth at this separate private hospital and they didn't use the royal doctors because basically it was for a surrogate and not a royal. That would make sense. Then, maybe she gave birth and stayed home for 2 weeks and nursed Archie, and then they were staying home and bonding with their child. My thing is, I don't care if they used a surrogate. I just want them to be honest. But again, everything is shrouded in mystery with these two and inconsistencies, and they don't tell the truth. These two don't know how to tell the truth to save their life, right? We always bust them in lies and inconsistencies. That's just what they do. So we have the weirdness of Archie's birth, the conspiracy theories that maybe they used a surrogate. And then we have Lilibet Diana, who was born, and they wait 2 days to, talk about the birth. And now they're saying it could be a while before you'll see a picture of her. Of course, because Meghan has to shroud everything in secrecy, because that apparently makes them worth more. She's already trademarked and got domains for her daughter, lilibetdiana.com, and now princesslilibetdiana.com. So it's like they just can't help themselves. You know, I'm sure next month at the unveiling of Lady Diana's statue, they're going to say, Lilibet Diana had her first word and it was Princess Diana, Grandma. You know how they're trying to say that Archie's first word were crocodile and Grandma Diana. It's so ridiculous. I can't even stand it. So why do these two shroud their children in such secrecy? I understand they want privacy. They want protection. I get it. But why is it that Kate and William can openly share their children with the public and say, here's a photo of them on their birthday? They release an official photo once a year. There's also an agreement with the British press to leave the royal children alone. After the death of Princess Diana, they realized that they needed to step back. And as an agreement, they would go to certain events, but they don't chase after the children and hound them. They're left alone. So if Harry and Meghan would have just stepped down as working royals and stayed in England, they could have still done their own thing. The press would have honored that. But instead, they moved to Hollywood, where there's paparazzi, and then they want the police to protect them and the taxpayers to pay for it. It's like you took yourself out of a secure situation and put yourself into the limelight, but you cried that you want privacy. That doesn't make any sense to me. Go move to a farm in Wyoming. Why would you go to Los Angeles in the heart of Hollywood where there's paparazzi stalking celebrities daily? That makes zero sense. But we all know she's there for the money and the fame, right? She's not there for a quiet life. She wants money. They said they want to step away to make their own money. Well, she has to go to Hollywood for that. So they cried about not having the protection for their child, or now their children. But that makes zero sense because they would have been very secure if they would have stayed in England. But regardless, they moved to Montecito and immediately start cashing in on their children. You know, I believe that Meghan thinks that if she shrouds herself and her children in mystery and she gives us spoonfuls of content, we're all just going to be like, oh my God, did you see the back of Archie's head on his second birthday photo? Oh my God. Did you hear him on the Archwell podcast laughing? Oh my God, that was Archie. Like, we really care. We don't care that much. It's just over the top ridiculous at this point. When they announced the pregnancy, the second pregnancy, where they had that overly black and white photo that was very artsy with her laying with her back. The woman at that time, it was Valentine's Day, was literally 5 months pregnant. She looked about 8 months pregnant in that photo. It's like, again, she had the moon bump on to make sure we all see the perfect bump. It's just gotten to the point where it's so inconsistent and ridiculous that we all literally can predict what she's going to do. So when they announced Archie's second birthday and they had that photo of him with just the back of his head holding a balloon, it was all art noir, black and white. To me, it was like, what was the point of that? Why don't you just have a picture of a cake and say, happy birthday, Archie? But instead you have to go to the trouble of taking the photo, filtering, editing the photo, and then putting it up for the world to see the back of your child's head holding a balloon. That photo reminded me of the photo you get when you buy a frame from a department store. Like, I'm not even kidding. I was like, is his third birthday going to be like how Michael Jackson used to have his children run around in masks? Is he going to wear a Halloween mask next year and be like, happy third birthday, Archie? Like, it's just ridiculous. How the Cambridge's children are out there. Kate releases beautiful photos of her children, and then you have the back of Archie's head. I'm like, Archie is 7th in line to the throne. George is 3rd, and he's out there for the public to see. He's a little bit more important and higher up the food chain of succession, but yet Archie needs to be private. Are you kidding me? But yet they're going to spoon feed him on the podcast, and they're going to tell people his first word was crocodile and Grandma Diana. So I can't wait to see what he's going to spill about Lilibet Diana. You know, maybe she has a cure for cancer next month. Maybe she created a patent. Who knows? She's a genius, I'm sure. You know, it's just gotten to the point where these two are so ridiculous, and we all can see through the BS that they chose Lilibet Diana because that was a marketable name and that kept them attached to the royal family. They could have named her Doria. They could have just named her Lily. But Lily is not bankable. But Lilibet and Diana are bankable. And they have the domains to prove it. And then, of course, Archie's in her book, The Bench. Of course, she has to make a whole book about Archie and Harry, cashing in on Archie, putting him on the podcast, showing the photo of the back of his head. It's like it just never ends with these two. And people still think it's all just a coincidence, that it's not on purpose, that they're not pimping their children out for dollars, that they're not using their titles for dollars. The two people who want to be away from the royal family, the two people who want privacy. And here's another issue I have, and this is going to make a lot of people angry. But I did call this out on my TikTok, and I believe I'm correct. Back in November, she did an article where she claimed she had a miscarriage. Now hear me out. She claimed she had a miscarriage in July. And she wrote this very poignant piece. I think it was the New York Times or Times, some magazine. This was shortly, like a month after Chrissy Teigen unfortunately lost her child. And it was all over the news. I mean, John Legend and her really did a whole bunch of stories on this loss of their child, and they got a lot of sympathy. I feel that Meghan Markle saw the sympathy that Chrissy Teigen was getting, and she felt she needed to get that attention. During that time, they were going through the lawsuit with the press, and they weren't winning. You have to remember, this is in October. In November, they announced, the article, she had a miscarriage. And then that following February, they announced she was pregnant. If you do the math, she miscarried at 38 in July, and she had to have gotten pregnant in August. We're talking not even a full cycle, barely 30 days. 4 to 6 weeks after a miscarriage, she's pregnant again at 38. I don't know any doctor, or actually 39, I don't know any doctor who would advise a woman at 39 who just had a miscarriage to get pregnant the next cycle, a month. So to me, the math was a little off. I thought it was a little weird how she came up with this very big story about her miscarriage. And you have to see, she's never mentioned her miscarriage since. She doesn't say our rainbow baby, Lily, our miracle. It's like she put the press piece out, and then they were quiet about it. They never talked about the miscarriage again. It never happened. And a lot of people had mixed reviews, because it came a month after Chrissy Teigen, and boom, she puts out an article. So a woman who is so private shares her miscarriage story in an article, no less, a month after Chrissy Teigen. But then a month later gets pregnant at 39. I mean, what doctor would advise a woman who just had a miscarriage to get pregnant the next month when they had said maybe wait 2 or 3 months to get pregnant? I found the timing a little off. And then in February, on Valentine's Day, of course, which was the day that Princess Diana announced to Prince Harry that she was pregnant with Prince Harry, they announced that she's pregnant with Lily. And you do the math, she was just born in June. So she had to have been pregnant in August, and she just miscarried in July. I personally feel like that miscarriage was a lie. It was also stated that she plagiarized some of that article from another woman's miscarriage story, that she used some of the same lines about how she was cradling her firstborn, knowing that she was losing her secondborn, that was actually a story that she copied from somebody else. Because Meghan has been known to plagiarize many, many quotes in her speeches. So that was my theory back on TikTok. I did call it. I thought the miscarriage was bullcrap because they never talk about it. Never talk about it again, which I find odd. Right? Isn't Lily their rainbow baby? Never mention it. It's like it never happened. So that's my theory. I'm sorry if you don't agree, if that offends you, but I don't believe the miscarriage happened. I'm not 100% sure if she had the children herself, because there's just too many weird inconsistencies and secrecy around her birth of her children. So what do you think? Do you think the Sussexes had a surrogate? Do you think she was pregnant but was trying to create some mystery, was wearing a bump to kind of bump up the bump factor? I'm kind of split 50-50. But whatever the case, I wish them well with their children. But I do feel like they use them for PR stunts and for money, and they only bring them out when it's time to announce the birthday. Maybe the Christmas card will be another cartoon. We'll see the back of their head. They're just odd. They're just very weird. Let me know what you think about the Sussexes, their children, the pregnancies. Leave your comments below. Thank you so much for stopping by my channel. I appreciate each and every one of you. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe, and check me out on Instagram and TikTok. Thanks, guys, and have an awesome day.